Hey, welcome to the Simeon Henderson Show, where we are giving a voice to the people. What's up, everybody? It is Wednesday night, and I know you guys are used to seeing me on Thursday, and we'll be back to Thursdays next month. But this month, we are celebrating Women's History Month all month long, and we have some extraordinary women coming on the show, and we've just been talking and getting a wealth of information, and it's been super, super dope, and I hope you guys have been enjoying it. I hope you guys are ready for some fun. I know you guys, it's the middle of the week, it's hump day, and hey, you just have to just have a good time and enjoy the show with me because we always have fun and we always have great guests. So without further ado, we're going to kick off the Simeon Henderson Show, and it goes a little something like this.
Ain't no stopping now, it ain't no stopping now. Ain't no stopping now, there ain't no stopping now. Ain't no stopping now, it ain't no stopping now. Ain't no stopping now, it ain't no stopping now. This what you wanted, cause ain't no turning back. This what you wanted, cause ain't no turning back.
Hey, you're watching the Simeon Henderson Show, where we are giving a voice to the people, and I hope you guys are ready for a super show. We have a great show lined up for you. But before we get into the show, I want to give a shout out to my executive producer, Jamani Anamdi, my producer and creative director, Shelton Smith, and I want to give a shout out to Jose Perez, my other producer, and Darren DeShazer, and everybody that makes the Simeon Henderson Show click and go. Big shout out to Intellectual Radio and Earl, the other Winfrey, for always being on the ones and twos and keeping everything straight. And we are ready to get it started. Now, you already know the Simeon Henderson Show is excited to continue our celebration of Women's History Month. We acknowledge the contributions of women Monday on honoring them on National Women's Day. Monday was National Women's Day, but tonight we are pleased to have with us best-selling author of Steal Your Skills from Corporate, Katrina Roddy. Katrina is a boss. Now, she is an entrepreneur. She's a coach. She's the founder and empowering voice behind the corporate breakup. Katrina maintained a professional career in corporate insurance for 30 years. Now, after being laid off, Katrina decided to create her own career. Now, Katrina is hosting the name, I'm sorry, guys. I'm going. The My Name Is workshop on March 20th. So make sure you get in tune with her, and you can register for that at Katrina's website, which is www.thecorporatebreakup.com. And I'll get into that a little more. So, guys, without further ado, I hope you guys are ready for an action-packed show, informative show, as we bring on Miss Katrina Roddy. Hey,
how are you?
I'm good. It's so funny when I get to do these intros and things like that. And you have to be energetic, you have to be fun and all this stuff. And sometimes you get going and you're like, oh my God, okay.
I got it.
But it's all good. Welcome to the Simeon Henderson Show. It is my pleasure to have you here. Now, congratulations on your success as an entrepreneur, a coach, best-selling author. You are doing the thing. And I love
good.
I love you. Thank you for sending the book to us, Steal Your Skills from Corporate. We're going to get into this, guys, because I think it's very important to know and understand how you can use your corporate job or whatever job you're working in to become a boss. So, Katrina, tell us about your 30-year career in corporate insurance. What's that like?
There's a lot in there, if you can imagine 30 years. And I started right out of high school, I graduated in June, started in corporate in July. For all of you, I'm going to take you back to Robert Morris College. It's university now, but it used to be a college, and it was strictly for business. And I wanted to go there to learn legal. Like, I wanted to do contract. I didn't want to be a lawyer, but I wanted to work on the legal side. So I thought I'd start there. And because my grades were stellar in high school, I hope my son's listening, but I hope because of my grades, I was able to get into a co-op program. And that co-op program afforded me a job I got hired at an insurance company, but the rest of my class got hired at a law firm. I was the one person out. And because of that, I learned so much. And that's where I was. I was in insurance the whole time. I started learning more and it started being exposed to more. And I ended up spending my entire career there. So I'm not mad because of the stuff that I learned there was phenomenal. And it's free training. I mean, you're there working, but they give you all of these things. And it wasn't until I left that I realized these entrepreneurs are looking for the stuff that I already got. So that was my 30-year career through promotions, through travel, through, hitting the height of my pay scale, all of the things that I imagined that I wanted to do in corporate. I actually did it until I got laid off. I didn't imagine that.
Okay, that's a great segue into my next question.
Yeah.
So when you talk about you got laid off, and we're talking about corporate America, talk to us about your best-selling book, Steal Your Skills from Corporate.
Okay. So once I had made a decision prior to being laid off that, I'm going to leave by the time I'm 50. And this is a lesson to people listening out there. Be careful of your words. They will manifest. And I would say all the time that I am going to leave by the time I turn 50 so that I can do what I want to do. I started this early. I'm going to do what I want to do by the time I turn 50. Well, it happened before I turned 50. And I just had to take that as a sign from God that said, well, we're going to let you go now. But by the time you turn 50, you will have this established career that you chose to have. And so that's how I took it as a positive. And as I was transitioning, so to speak, I would go give people seminars. I would help people with all kind of stuff for free. And it took one lady that pulled me to the side and said, honey, you give out too much free information. This is your job. This is your job. Like, your gift is making sure that you help people grow, but this is your job now. And that led me to writing a book, saying I want to put everything I know into like a guide to help people through it, because I believe they can get through it. But if you're a learner like me, you may need a coach along the way. And that's where the coaching came in.
That is so profound, because I recently came to the realization that, hey, man, you're giving away all your knowledge and information and insight. And that's why I started putting my motivational album out. And I have 2 more books coming out. And now I'm doing coaching, and I'm getting paid, an hourly rate to coach people.
Yes.
But the thing is, you have to know your worth. When you have a lot of skin in the game and you have that experience and that knowledge and that know-how, now you can tell people, I'm going to give you this, but it's going to cost you a little something.
Yeah.
Because you're going to pay for it anyway, but I'm going to give it to you at a discounted rate. And I'm sincere about helping you. And that's the difference. Yeah. And that's what I like about what you're doing, because everything you're doing, it always has to do with people. So why don't you tell us about your strategy when it comes to helping individuals that's been incarcerated, because you're passionate about that.
Yeah. And it's so funny too, because I come up with these ideas and how I could, rearrange my words and just to get people to understand. So I have a brother who was incarcerated for many years. He spent a lot of time going back and forth. And the one thing that is the struggle, not just for him, but for a lot of people who get out, is they have to check that box. They have to check that box to say, I was incarcerated, I was a felon, and then they're X'd out of the box. There are wonderful programs out there that will support them, but there's not many. So what I'd like to do is take that and help them understand that there are skills out there. There are skills you have, whether you know it or not. And I help pull those skills to create your own. You can create your own job. You can create what you want. And if you listen to my brother, he always says back to me, yeah, you told me I should start this, because the struggle is real. The struggle is real. Like, I have all these, I'm an idea person, so I have all of these ideas. And to take it a step further, so that's repurposing my book, right? Because corporate is just not it's a metaphor for life. So you can take that. If you worked for McDonald's in your life, you used to work for corporate. So it's things like that. But to take it a step further, How about high school kids? How about kids who are not prone to go to college? Not everybody goes to college. That doesn't mean you have to stop learning. What that means is that you're not going to that facility to learn. So I would love to teach high school individuals as well that you can take your skills and create a job that that will take you far and is more fulfilling to you. So I want to purpose my book. It starts off with corporate, but then I want to repurpose it for incarcerated individuals as well as high school.
Okay, okay. So talk to us about the corporate breakup and why is that personal? Because a lot of people they have ideas, they have ambitions and goals and dreams, but they're scared. They're scared to step out.
Yeah.
Tell us about the corporate breakup and why it's important.
So I came up
why
with
it's personal.
Well, I came up with the the corporate breakup because it is personal, not just to me. It's personal to a lot of us. And so think about it this way, Simeon. You've probably in your lifetime gone through a breakup with your significant other, with whoever. You've gone through a breakup with your best friend, with whomever. And what happens after that breakup? You want to refocus on yourself. And your friends will tell you, they may even come by and say, I'll have wine with you. They'll do all of these things to help you heal. They'll tell you to heal, work on yourself. Let's get you to the next step before you jump out there again. They have all of these things that support the healing of a personal breakup, right? Nobody does that when you break up from corporate. They're like, she don't have a job. What are you going to do? And then you jump to the next one because you feel that desire. I need to be doing something, and you don't heal from it. And so, especially when you want to go into entrepreneurship, what happens is you get tied up with a name, a title. You get tied up with this is what I used to do, but was and is two different things. So how about create the CEO of your life? No, nothing's bigger than that title, right? So you have those things. And then if you want a board of directors, let's create a personal board of directors. There are 5 mentors that should always be around you, in my opinion, anyway. And so I list them and list how you get those 5. I do all of these things to help them feel comfortable with those terminologies that they heard while they were in corporate. And that helps them more with the transition. So it's personal because we've all felt what breakups are. You go through anxiety, you go through anger, you go through sleep disturbances, avoidance, where you don't want to be involved with people. And you have to heal from those things. So you heal through them by making moves.
Right.
Yep.
So I hear you. You talk about making these moves and doing all this cool stuff. But how do you go from being in an employee state of mind to an entrepreneurship state of mind? How do you go from being the employee to the boss?
Yeah.
Because see, a lot of people, they want, but they just don't know how to do it. So what is that type of mindset to go from being an employee to being a boss?
Well, nobody said it was easy. So it's not easy, but you have to do a mindset reset. You really do. I had to do it. I spent 30 years in a box. And I had to have an entrepreneur spirit to say, I have to do all of these things. Think about it like this. I sat in my office. My neighbor sat in their office and did what they needed to do. This other person sat in their office. I didn't do their jobs. I only did what I was paid to do. When you become an entrepreneur and how you switch that mindset is now you got to do everybody's job. You got to do all of those. So that's the first step to understanding that you're going to be responsible for all of these things. You're going to be good at some things. And when you pull your skills, think back to when you were working and you got a performance review. That's going to help you identify what skills immediately, but it's also going to help you identify the skills that you weren't good at. So you got to start thinking, I may need to hire these people later on down. For me, I'm going to tell you the truth. Admin is a beast for me. I hate admin, but I got to do it until I'm able to hire somebody else to help me with that. And now I'm at a point where I have people to help me. Mm-hmm. But that's how you start to switch the mindset and listening to people who've been entrepreneurs forever. Right. Those who stayed in the game will help you. So you got to network. You got to be out there. You got to be talking to people who can help you get through that hump. Does that make sense?
It makes a lot of sense. And the reason it makes a lot of sense to me, because I've been there, done that. And, you know, when I stepped out and decided that I was going to use my skills I've always been like my own boss because I've always been a speaker and always done different things. But it was like when I started doing motivational speaking and life coaching, like, and getting paid for it, that was all me. And I had to put myself out there. Now I'm repurposing to put the people around me like Shelton, who can now speak up for me and push me because I've done the legwork. I have the resume. I have a plethora of content.
Yeah.
So now it's time to get it out. And every day I'm always pouring into people. But it's one of those things where I had to learn that sometimes you go through things that seem contrary to what you teach and what you're doing, but it's just the way life is. But you just have to figure out a way to get through it. So now you're talking about, and when you talk to us about the myths, you talk about how there's 3 myths of diversity in the workplace. What is that like?
So it's interesting because I wrote a whole article on systemic injustice. Being a black woman in corporate is enough. It's a woman being in corporate is number one, but the black woman in corporate is a whole nother ball game. And so when you take a step out of corporate and you start looking around at what your life was like there, because I literally grew up there from 18 to 48 corporate. And so it was a point where you can look around you, and every person that was around you was very successful. All the other black individuals that were around you were successful, but they weren't at the top yet. Nobody ran the company. We didn't talk about being a CEO. We didn't talk about running divisions, but my white counterparts did, because they can see themselves in those positions. We couldn't. You can't get to what you can't see. Mm-hmm. And so when we talk about diversity, the first thing you think about is, in the world that we live in today, with as many people talking about diversity, one of the myths is all companies are diverse. Mm-hmm. Because there's so many job openings out there, but that's a myth. All companies are not diverse. And when I did studies and I looked up Facebook, we spend most of our time on Facebook, but Facebook only hires 3% of people get hired as Black people at Facebook. In a 6-year period, 6 years, they only bumped up to 3.8. And I was floored when I read that. I'm like, is this right? I'm looking at it, but it's all the tech companies. So it's not just Facebook, it's Instagram, it's all of the ones that we follow and that we're part of, but they're not hiring our kind. So the myth number one is that there are enough people in corporate already that's diverse. Myth number two is diversity is everything. We can stop at diversity. That's not true. If you have diversity without the inclusion, you might as well have up without the down. You have right without the left, because they balance each other. So you have to have those. So myth number two is that you can't stop at diversity. You got to be able to include. If you're going to hire me as a Black woman, then you need to be able to include what my values are and what I live for.
And what you can bring to the table. Because
and what I can bring to the table.
If you're bringing me in because of diversity, then the only way for you to show that is to put me in a position where I can spearhead what's going on, so we can show that diversity. It's it's just like the person that say, I got one Black friend.
Yeah.
But
funny how that works, right?
But he's never been over my house, but I got one Black friend,
Does he know he's your friend?
Right.
And then the third myth is it costs to diversify. That's the one I hear the most. It may cost us to diversify. Well, it's costing you not to diversify, because guess what? You just excluded a whole pool of people that you didn't even think about, because your mindset is, I'm going to hire the right person, but the right person looks like the right person in your mind. So this all goes back to when I said we can only see so far, and you only go for what you see. And if I don't see anybody, and we were very successful in the Black, but we always stayed around that same middle section, and we always thought that we've done it, but no. So that's what I would have to say. Those are the 3 myths, and I just want people to understand that when you're hiring, or what corporate looks like when you're in there, those are some of the things these are conversations that happen.
Right.
So.
So everybody, you're watching the Simeon Henderson show where we're giving a voice to the people, and the people are speaking. Miss Katrina A. Roddy is speaking. She's talking from Steal Your Skills from corporate. She's giving us a wealth of information, and it is so awesome. We're going to take a quick break, and we are going to check out the 5 things that you need to know during Women's History Month by our very own Chicago Fly Guy. And
I love him.
I want to give a shout out to my executive producer, Jamani Anamdi, my producer, Jose Perez, Darren DeShazer, and our very own Chicago Fly Guy, the creative director. And I got to give a shout out to my sponsor, one of my sponsors, Recon Credit Repair. Now, when you talk about being a boss, when you talk about doing all those things, one of the things that you need to get together is your credit. So don't forget about that. All right. But we're going to check out the 5 things you need to know from our Chicago Fly Guy. And we'll be right back with more from Miss Katrina Roddy in a minute.
Hey, it's America's favorite personality. Yes, your Chicago Fly Guy. And I'm bringing you the best 411 and top 5 things that you need to know right here on the Simeon Henderson Show for Women's History Month. Number 5. Yes, Althea Gibson was a beast on the tennis court. Althea was the first woman to receive a Grand Slam title in tennis. She had a powerhouse serve, and Althea had a boop, hole-in-one on the golf course. She too was a pro golfer. Number 4, Flojo, the fastest woman in her era. In 1988, Flojo was known for her manicured nails and her fashionista tracksuits with one leg in and one leg out. Flojo was an Olympian. And guess what? I gotta stop chasing all these women. I can't keep up with Flojo. Number 3, Thelma Houston was the disco queen. She was the first female solo artist on the Motown label to win a Grammy for Best Performance. Kudos, Thelma! Thelma, Thelma, Thelma. Number 2, Aileen Hernandez was the first black woman to work for the EEOC. Aileen represented for Black America with the Equal Employment Opportunity Commission. Number 1, it was the courage of none other than Daisy Bates behind the empowerment for 9 students to integrate Central High School in Little Rock, Arkansas. Those 9 students are now historically known as the Little Rock 9. I'm your Chicago Fly Guy. This has been the best 411 and top 5 things that you need to know right here on the Simeon Henderson Show.
Hey, for the Chicago Fly Guy gets me going every time.
Love it.
Look, and you know, look, he looking like he out of shape. He running in place and getting tired. How you get tired running in place?
Let me tell you something. Somebody else who knows I'm an Olympic junkie, they sent me a clip of Flojo this week.
Oh,
and
wow.
I was screaming. It's from 88 in the Seoul Olympics. I'm screaming like she is on there now. So yeah, I get it.
Tell your friend whoever sent that in 88, I was only 3.
Stop playing. I won't tell her that.
So everybody, you're watching the Simeon Henderson Show. Thank you to all the people that's watching and commenting. Maisha, Cindy, Tamisha, everybody that's commenting. I appreciate you guys so much. And I know you guys are getting a wealth of information. And like I said, we're celebrating Women's History Month because we have to admit it. This country was built on the shoulders of our women. When you talk about the riots and the marches, look at it. The women were front and center. They were out there. And it's just something about, and that's why I love my mom so much, because I learned so much from her. You know, still got a lot to learn. But we just appreciate everything that you guys are doing and your tenacity and your just intuitiveness and everything about you guys. But let's keep going because we're almost done. I can't believe the time go by so fast. But I want to ask you this.
Sure.
So all the work that you're doing, which is great. The thing that I love is that you think about the people that are incarcerated. And then another thing that I really admire is the fact that you look out for the seniors, 65 and older. What is that like? What are you doing for
Man,
seniors? Because one day we're gonna be 65,
I
right?
know. That's why I'm hanging close to them. So because I spent 30 years in insurance, I won't, I still have licensing for stuff and I won't give those licensing up.
Right.
And my mom passed away in 2019. And at that point, I had to help my dad. They had been married for 60 years. And I had to help my dad figure out his finances, his financial stuff. So I started helping him when I came to Medicare. And I've been on corporate insurance side forever. When it came to Medicare, I'm like, what is this? I said, how are you supposed to understand this? And he didn't. So I started studying it. And then I started, I got my license for that as well. I started getting certifications and I started helping seniors and realized something. A lot of times we spend a lot of time on our younger generation, making sure that they are okay. And we forget about the seniors. And it's very known when you go visit with them or talk to them because they want to talk to you. For one, Simeon, they make me feel younger. But they really appreciate me and they're going to give it to you straight. They're not telling you no lies. They're not telling you nothing. If they don't want you there, they will tell you no.
They ain't got nothing to lose.
Nothing. So I just appreciate them. And then I'll do like events for them when previous to COVID, I would do events for them. I had this one time I gone in and I did the Senior Olympics. Mm-hmm. And so I just had them do stuff and the coordinator called me later and was like, I really appreciate it. Helped them with their motor skills. They think you're a clown. They just like all of this stuff. And my dad even says, he's like, you really found your call in helping them. And they'll call me today and just, I need to talk to you, especially during COVID. A lot of stuff happened. I'm trying to get them a platform where they can understand technology. So I'll teach them a little bit about it. I opened up a senior group under the Nextdoor app. It's called I Love the Classics. And so I can see people joining. And what that says to me is that these are the ones who are technology prone. They know how to get on. Let me be clear. They're on Facebook all day.
They don't have nothing else to do.
No.
Look, my auntie done got on Facebook. My mom's sister, I think my auntie, she got to be 70 something now.
Yeah.
And she's sending me a friend request. I'm like, Auntie Martha, I'm not trying to. No, I wouldn't say that out loud.
Martha, you listening? You see what he gonna do to you?
She's sure gonna see this. But yeah,
I do educate them. I want them to understand. And the one thing I say to them all the time is, if I had to be licensed, certified in different states, I had to make sure I obtained this information for 6 different carriers. Mm-hmm. How do we expect you to learn this by watching a commercial on TV? And so I do a lot to help them, and I will forever continue to help them. No matter what else I'm doing, I'll stop and help my seniors.
That's dope. So before we get out of here, I just got a couple more questions.
Yeah.
And one question I want to ask you is this: as a single mom, you're raising a son. What are some of the core values and different things, life lessons that you guys have taught each other? Because I know you're teaching your son, but one thing as parents, we have to learn that we can learn from our kids too. And my wife always says this, and we have to listen to them. Yes. And they'll tell you and they'll give you the information, but you have to be willing to take it in and not think you know everything.
So my son is 19. He's a creative mind. He's an artist. He does music, he does photography, he does all of these things, right? And I'm a business person. And so one thing that I teach when I talk about the mentors that you should have around you, one of the 5 is called a reverse. Mm-hmm. And that reverse means I'm teaching you something, but I'm actually learning something in reverse. So he's actually my reverse mentor. And the one thing that he said to me that was so profound, when I didn't tell people that I was writing a book until it was a week before publishing. And so just because of, some own personal stuff, I was like, I got to get this done. But when I said that to him, his eyes lit up and he was like, oh, so you have a creative side. And what he said that sticks with me to this day was, Mom, you got to start thinking above the collar. And that means white collar, blue collar. Mm. And now you get to use the opposite side of your brain and be creative. And that sticks with me. And that pushes me forward as an entrepreneur because I think about that stuff. What he's learning from me is consistency, the values of making sure you do the right thing, making sure that you are in your hustle, if you're going to go in, you're going to get some support to go in 100%. Even if I don't like it, if it's the right thing that fits you, I'm listening to you. I am. Okay, so true story. Here we go. I'm saying this out loud. So I had this conversation on another show about 3 weeks ago, and I was talking about how I would like to help the high schools and talk to seniors about college. So my son goes to, he was going to Pratt Institute. So he got a photography scholarship at one of the Harvards of art schools, right? So yeah, he quit school and decided that he's going to be an entrepreneur. And it hit me pretty hard. But then I'm like, hey, like, who else to learn from? I never said you stop learning. Education never stops. It just means that it's not done in that institute. So I had to come to grips with that. And I'm supporting him on his journey, making sure that he learns as much as he needs to be on the business side. Because that's what happens a lot of times when you have the art, the creative side, you may not know the business side. And so that's what I'm trying to teach him: credit, money saved, how to put it, what do you do with your business dollars, things like that.
Yes.
So that helps me a lot.
That's cool. And that's cool that you're in a position where you can teach him and he's willing to learn. So that's where he's going to be successful at, is because he's open, Yeah. And I tell people all the time, sometimes you have to stay humble and never stop learning. When you stop learning, all bets off. Yeah. So the last thing I'm going to ask you before we get out of here, I'm appreciating and loving the conversation. And that's even with my show. I refuse to do buffoonery and clown stuff. And my whole thing is to give a voice to the people, because there's a lot of people like yourself out there that has a wealth of information that's fun, entertaining, and resourceful. And we have to bring that to light. And the last thing I want to ask you is, I wanted you to do is talk to us about My Name Is workshop that's coming March 20th. Tell us what we can expect and why people should get on that.
Well, thank you for asking about that, because I'm heavily promoting it right now. My name is
not only today. You send me what you want to do, I'll do it for you, and we'll put it out there. You can use it, whatever.
Good. Okay, so My Name Is workshop is about your ideal client. Who should have it? Every business should have an ideal client, because you have goals, right? And you have to get to your goals by having some type of client that you can bring in. Everybody can't be your client. You don't want everybody as your client, but you have identified them. But when you identify your client, you also have to create that customer avatar. You have to be able to look in the audience and say, this is the person I'm talking to. So I like to relate this to pastor talk. When you're in church and the pastor's talking and you scoot under the thing because you think he's talking to you, that's what your customer avatar should feel like, because you're talking directly to them. And a lot of people will say, oh, I talk to my ideal client are women. Okay, but what type of women? So this workshop is really to help you build. So it's taking this big target audience, making an ideal client, and then creating a customer avatar so that you can get to the goals that you set for yourself, whether it's financial, whether it's growth. All of those things come with having an ideal client, a customer avatar, and I will help you build that. I am keen on making sure your message is clear and you have a customer avatar to talk to.
So that means we're going to have to do the barter system. You're going to have to help me out, and then I can do some little commercials. So that's what I do. I'm a talker. I'm a speaker. I get people engaged. So
okay,
but I tell people I'm going to do a workshop, and I'm supposed to do it with a good friend of mine, Mel Robeson, with UCE coaching, the ultimate coaching experience, about the importance of partnership.
Collaboration. Yep.
It's so important, and people can't miss that if they want to be successful. Yeah. And I just appreciate you for everything that you've done. Everybody, get the book. Steal Your Skills from Corporate. So what that meant to me was you're an apprentice, a paid apprentice at your job. That means that you should be getting all the knowledge you can, learning how to run that company or learning how to run a company and be a boss. So when it's time for you to be your boss, you are ready to go. And Katrina Roddy can help you with that. And we've had a awesome time today. I want to thank you so much. And before we get out of here, I'll put it up as well. But tell everybody where they can find you on your social media handles Everybody, we're supporting Women's History Month.
Thank you for supporting Women's History Month. And you can find me on all platforms. Just look for KRoddy65. I'm on Facebook. I have a Facebook group called the Corporate Breakup, which is the same as my website. But Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn is where I hang out a lot. And Clubhouse. I do a 1K Super Lounge on Friday. That's my room on Clubhouse. But they're all under KRoddy65.
Okay, there you have it, guys. If you'd like to be a guest on the Simeon Henderson Show and you have something to share with the world and just a wealth of information to share with people to help them get to the next level, and your story is necessary. There is no testimony without a test. And when you give people your testimony, you give them the strength and the courage to go forward and go after their dreams. I want to say thank you to my executive producer, Jamani Anamdi, Jose Perez, Darren DeShazer, and the very talented Chicago Fly Guy. And he is the creative director of the Simeon Henderson Show. Big shout out to Rake on Credit Repair. Thank you for everything that you do. And we're going to keep this thing going. And we're going to make sure that you guys get what you need. So, Miss Katrina, Roddy, thank you so much. I appreciate you.
Thank
and guys,
you.
Remember, as we celebrate Women's History Month, don't forget the importance of uplifting each other and doing the right things and making sure you stay faithful and focused to everything you do and consistent and committed. I'll see you next time on the Simeon Henderson Show, where we are giving a voice to the people. Miss Katrina, Roddy, thank you so much. We appreciate you. And everybody, we'll see you next time.